So I have a delay in my sound and video, or they're not synced up. So I'm going to do some stuff. Let's try and fix that today. Alright. So what I'm trying to do is record a video and then see how off sync it is and then change the delay to where it's no longer out of sync. Try and fix that today. Okay, so I saw that it was out of sync in the video, so what I'm going to do is open up Premiere. Try that again, open up Premiere. Alright, so I'm putting it in, let's see, browse. And so what I heard, or what I looked up yesterday, was to take a video, put it in Premiere, count the frames difference, and then calculate out what the actual time lag is. And so I'm not very good at this. Let me switch over here. I'll just put this right here. Nope, that's not gonna work for you guys because you won't see the claps. So I've put the video in here and then I've started my stream. I think that's what they call this. And so you can see here the claps. So I got 3, and then I do this, move it here. Alright, so that's the sound, and that's where my hands are. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm 10 frames. At 60 frames a second. Let me see. Yeah, so 60 frames a second. So I'm 1/6 of a second behind already. Alright, so let me see. I'm gonna go to this. Sync sound and video in OBS. Because OBS is the tool I use. Oh, there's a guy clapping too. Sync default. Oh yeah. Scene transfer, audio mixers, sound. Layout, how to rename copy filters, properties. Nope, not properties, advanced audio properties. There we go. So let's get out the calculator. So if 60 frames goes into a second, so it's just 300 more milliseconds, I think. So let's try this. 400 milliseconds total, because I already had it at 100. Properties. All right, where's that? Okay, so now let's go in and try this again. Oh yeah, there we go. Short recording, then switch over to my videos, pull up Premiere again, switch to this, nope, wrong view, there we go. Switch to this, take the new video, put it in here. And then set it on the end. And then let's do this again. Let's just actually play it real quick so we can see how it sounds in real time. I think I went a little too far. Let's see. Yeah. Alright, so that's when the sound should happen. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that doesn't make any sense, but sure. All right, and so let's do this again. Alright, so I put it in over here. That's worse than it was before. Alright, so let's just start this over. Fix that today. Alright, let's see. I guess let's just start on the sound. There we go. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense to me at all. So let's just redo this at 400. Close that because it was as close as we got so far, and then let's go watch this video instead of spinning our wheels. Alright, so let's watch this
A common problem is your live stream audio going out of sync. Let's find out how to solve that. It's really easy to solve audio-video sync issues if you're using Streamlabs OBS or OBS itself. If you're interested in Streamlabs OBS, it's available at mrc.fm/slobs. I'm also teaching a live stream audio course, Sound Your Best on Your Live Stream. Head over to mrc.fm/learn to learn more about that. So, audio out of sync with what you're saying. So your mouth is moving, but it's not syncing up with the actual words you're speaking. Easy way to solve this in the Mixer view of either Streamlabs or just the original OBS is click this cog icon over here, open the advanced audio settings, and you have sync offset in milliseconds for all of the audio devices you have connected to your version of OBS. So you can say, well, my microphone is out a little bit. You can change the delay on that to be maybe 100 milliseconds, maybe more, 1000 milliseconds would be 1 whole second of delay. That would be a lot of delay. Usually it's around 100 milliseconds. That's what I found in my experience when using webcams such as the Logitech C920. If you really want to discover if you're out of sync, a good way to do this is clapping at the camera like that, and then just playing it back in a video editor that you have, maybe Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, anything that will edit videos, and just look for the spike in the audio and then compare it to where your hand is actually going together. If you notice your hands are like this, but the spike is already there, you're definitely out of sync. You can just measure the amount of time in milliseconds you're out of sync. Inside my online course, I describe in detail how to discover the exact minute milliseconds that you're out of sync using an audio video sync test card that I provided as a download for my course members. So if you're interested in discovering more about this and being exactly in sync during your live
All right. So we're behind on that one. Or I say behind. Hang on. Clap, then hands close. Clap, then sound. So you would think that going down would be fine. So now we're sound, then clapping, but it's way further off at 300 milliseconds than it was the 100 milliseconds. All right. Let's see what 500 milliseconds does. Stick this down there. Put this at the end. Go up against the end there. Alright. Oh, I didn't change it to the big screen. I should have. Okay, let's extend this. Clap. Alright, that makes sense. So that worked logically, but for some reason the 300 milliseconds didn't. So let's do 350. Or, yeah, 350. So we'll do this. Alright, so 350 milliseconds, and let's go. Alright, so that looks like 375 is what I need. Let's take a closer look. That's when the sound should happen. And that's when the thing happens. Alright, so let's do 375. Alright, so 375. Looks pretty good. Oh. 380. Alright, I think we're zeroing in on this. 380. Let's do this again. Clap, then, all right. So it's just I had 385, so 380. Let's see. 382. One, two, three, four, five frames at 60 frames a second. .08. So that's the 100th. So all right, let's see. All right, I'm doing 382 and I'm stopping there because I don't care. So it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tries to get synced up enough. Alright, so we got Anthem, so we got Atmos stuff. I guess I'm gonna keep this G2 info here. I'll just fill this up as stuff comes up. Marketing's a big old mess, so we're not gonna tackle that one just yet. Processes.
I would click new stream, title. Here you're gonna see this. Confirm and go live, okay?
Is like when I got into this situation where everything was kind of all over the place, I started entering I didn't just use the one mode that I should have in order to capture stuff, and I started doing this and that and the other thing, and then I started missing. And so I got to delist one of my other videos. Videos. Yes, right. So send you email updates, announcement, tips about our group channel. You receive email of my link. I got it. So this one.
Confirm and go live. Okay. I obviously don't want to go live right now, so I'm not going to do that.
I'm gonna turn this. Here we go. All right. So I had to delist a video because I think I accidentally mentioned a client in it, and I don't want those to be public. All right. So all I'm doing right now is, or I've come to a point in COVID where I've decided that waiting for COVID to end isn't the best way to address it, and so I've started rebuilding kind of like the ways that I do things, and a part of that is figuring out like what the foundational aspects of what I do is, and organization is always a big piece of everybody's job, and right now I am a disorganized mess, especially when it comes to my files. So I've spent the past few days going through files and determining what's still relevant, what's not, what's useful, what's not, what I should be responsible for and what's not. And so I've been doing a lot of cleaning that up for anybody who ever watches this in the future. So I'm going to sit here mostly doing my work, not being able to really show because there's a bunch of client specific stuff in here. Maybe I should come up with some better stuff to do whilst on stream that is productive. But either way, I'll just sit here for the rest of this one. And work. And if anybody jumps in the chat, then I'll definitely stop doing this. One thing I recommend in anything is shortcuts. Anything you're doing on the computer, a shortcut will make you more efficient at it, and that's just generally good. For instance, to create a new folder, it's on Windows, it's Control-Shift-N, and then you just got to rename it. And so what I'm going through right now is just doing a general organizing of my files. So I'm going into each folder and all the subfolders and determining whether the structure is still relevant, and then if it's not, restructuring it, but then kind of putting them in. Right now I'm doing by year, and then when I get there'll be several layers of this review, and then so right now I'm doing more like identification, like what is this document, and then putting it in the correct folder, like I said, and then putting it in the year it was made, and then I'll go through each year and determine what exactly we need to keep. And that probably won't be a task for just me. That'll be probably something where we bring people in on meetings, because some of this stuff is marketing, some of it's sales, some of it's partner and client documentation, and in general that's not something that I should be doing by myself anyways. But I haven't been here so long. It's weird to go back through. It's weird to go back through and have a whole decade of stuff. And it's not just my stuff either. It's stuff from former employees that I didn't integrate well enough at the time. So right now I've got one, two, three. I got five people's worth of old documents, like old CEOs, operations managers, implementation manager, things like that. Like the vast majority of it is completely irrelevant, but holding on to it like this is causing me issues just in the disorganization that I was talking about earlier. So I gotta go and clear it all out. Like, it's good to keep all your old stuff, just in general, but everybody's got different ways of organization or keeping their files neat and tidy, and so there's some old files in this one person's folders. It's our transition from Vista to XP, I'm sorry, not transition. It was when we used XP and Vista at the same time. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm alright. Been a long morning.
I find the irony that I had to be, well, which I know during the times, but I had to be thoroughly health screened before I could go see the doctor.
Oh yeah.
Make sure I'm healthy to see the doctor.
Are you healthy?
I'm healthy. I got the green.
That's cool. What'd your doctor say?
It was just my Adderall renewal.
Oh, okay. So your heart's fine and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, my heart rate's up a little bit, and my blood pressure a little bit, but I told them I've been sedentary for the last several months too, so.
I definitely know what that's about.
Definitely need to exercise some more.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think that'll be next for me in the personal improvement realm, is figuring out a way to work out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back to the gym just yet, but
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with gyms yet.
me neither.
And then I'm just a sucker when it comes to heat that I just,
Well, it's
But
super
it's
nice.
nicer now, so I can go out on
So that was Melissa. So I'm going through the files of the person who hired me, and he doesn't have anything that's relevant. I mean, be some neat stuff in here. There's some old client stuff in here. So this dude was the operations manager when I started, and he's got a bunch of, he set up our first in-office phone system. We had a company called ShoreTel. When on-prem environment that would cost us, I think it was like $35,000, which for us was a huge investment at the time. And it only worked in the office, so we didn't have a remote option at that point. And it just got to the point to where the version of it that we got was too antiquated to update in any kind of way, so we had to migrate to the cloud, or migrate to a new solution, and we chose a cloud solution, which was called M5, but then ShoreTel bought M5 and called it ShoreTel Sky, and it was terrible. That's when we had our first phone outage, and built our outage process from that, and it continued to be out until we eventually switched to a company called InContact, which we still use today. It's not the most streamlined of environments, but it works. And for now, that's what we need. But in a couple of years, we're probably gonna have to change to somebody else. 8x8 was another good option when we were going through all of this, and it seems like they've matured in a different kind of way. We'll have to look at them. And then 5.9 never was our jam. 5.9 refused 3 or 4 years ago to do SLAs around uptime, which SLAs are service license agreements. Basically, it's contractual obligation. And they didn't, so they just said that whenever they're up, and when they're not, and we'd have to deal with it otherwise. And then they also wanted to charge us for incoming international calls, which I still don't understand to this day how that works when we're not hosting an international number. Like, they're calling a domestic number from an international location, and they wanted to charge us for a routing fee because they run those through a different way on their back end, but for some odd reason we had to pay for it. Alright, so there are some clients in here. Anytime I think I'm doing a bad job of keeping organized, all I have to do usually is just look at somebody else's stuff, and then I don't feel so bad. I mean, this was 2011, and it's basically 10 or so folders, and then the rest of the things are just kind of shoved in here. So I will have to do this. There's some 2008 documents. Office Technology, G2 Projects, client. Alright, so I'm gonna go over here to the old stuff. Old client. Logo. Let's see, old G2. All right, so we're gonna do an old marketing, because I found one of our old logos. So my intent is to absorb as much as I can into this, or into my own file structure as possible, like I was talking about before, and then cut out the stuff that I shouldn't be responsible for keeping, and then move it on to SharePoint, where we keep all of our cloud documents, and then lighten the load of what I'm supposed to be carrying personally. Like I like to keep I like to keep copies of things like contracts and NDAs and scopes and stuff like that separate and in my own file structure, but more for redundancy and ease of access. And so right now I think I've got the actual, like I've got some source documents in my file structure from old contracts and whatnot, and I'd rather have those loaded in an old contracts kind of place on SharePoint. And some of this requires just like good old-fashioned so that's an old app document, so that will go in old processes. I'm getting sidetracked here. So I've got something that should go into an old process. So old client, old G2, AJ management, solutions architect, weekly reporting. That's going to have to be cleaned up further. I've got an old client thing. There we go. box tone. You never really took off on your own. So that would have been old vendor. Oh yeah, and so here's this. We've got an old document for PCI standards, which, if you don't know, that's payment card industry. It was one of the first. Hang on, let me switch this over so you guys can see. It was one of the first good data standardization and security models, or requirements, or standard, or whatever you want to call it. You can see it's pretty long, and this is also, you can take and store data for using credit cards. So nowadays this isn't as important because you can have your vendor be PCI compliant, and you don't have to be, as long as you don't store. Like if you're opening up a coffee shop, you take the card in your hand, you put it in the machine, you give the card back, you never actually have the credit card data. But as you know, like a company, I mean, some companies still do. Like they take the credit card information. Like say you take it over the phone, like we could. If you take it over the phone and your phone system records the calls, then you have credit card information, and you have to be PCI compliant. Even if it's your vendor, it's that's compliant, or your vendor also has to be compliant. But even if it's your vendor who is compliant, you have to be as well, because you have employees that can access that data, and so you have to have ways of securing it and securing the access. Anyways, we never got into this because becoming PCI compliant was too expensive of a project for us, and didn't really lend us any kind of help. So that was neat. There was a period in time that we were seriously consider doing it. So that would go into old operations and process. Content add-ons. Some old marketing stuff. This is what our first logo looked like. G2 and the wireless. It's a pretty big logo. Old documents. Gobi laptops. That document is absolutely useless. It was supposed to be a. There used to be a thing called a Gobi laptop, which had a bunch of different air cards built into it. They could switch to the most relevant carrier. And this was 2009, 10ish. We had a client that used them. This is also useless. It's the old Google Voice international rates when we were entertaining the idea of using Google Voice to make international phone calls. Another document to try and figure out international calling. We wound up not going with anything really, because the cost was too high for us to be making outbound calls internationally on a regular basis. Alright, so that's probably where I'm going to stop today. Anyways, so to all 0 people that showed up, have a good day. For anybody watching this in the future, hope you do have a good day as well. Later.